an opportunity to go play against a really, really quality football team. I got a lot of respect for their program. As being part of it for so long, I know a lot about it. I know a lot about their players, and they've got a fabulous football team. Our guys have created this opportunity for themselves, and we're looking forward to taking advantage of it.
All right, thank you, Coach. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. We have Amy and Emma. Okay, we've got all the way up here on the front row. Right down in front.
Murray Poole, Bulldog Illustrated. Kirby, do you know updated condition of Ben Cleveland, Monty Rice, and Cade Mays playing ability for tomorrow?
Very similar as has been the last previous weeks. Ben has practiced better than he has in previous weeks, but he still really be a game time decision. Cade, he got to practice a bit yesterday, and then Monty was able to practice a little bit this week as well.
Okay, we'll go here over on the my right-hand side. Have one in the middle. May I have a question? Nope. All right, other questions? All right, there we go. Mike?
Yeah, Coach, you talk about stopping the run, taking priority. Does Tua change that equation, and if so, how?
Yeah, he creates a lot of parts to an equation that is really tough to figure out that equation. When it comes to their ability to run the ball, they have really good backs. They're a really explosive offensive football team. I mean, you can take the motto that they're pass first, but they're usually the path of least resistance, which in most games has been the ability to throw the ball. They certainly can run the ball, which is what makes it really difficult to defend and why you see so many lopsided scores. They're able to score a lot of points. They're really hard to stop. So we'll have to do a good job against the run. We'll have to affect the quarterback. We'll have to play a lot of one-on-one situations outside with their receivers, and that's the challenge when you play a really good football team.
Hey, Coach, we'll go over here on our left on the aisle.
Hey, Kirby, I just wonder, as far as DeAndre Swift goes, what has it meant to have him finally healthy this year, and what kind of effect has it had on the offense?
Well, I think he's a very explosive player, so when he's at full health, certainly makes him more explosive. I think we've seen a good bit of his ability when he gets in space and his ability to create things out of the backfield. He's a talented back. He'll be playing against a really quality defense as well, and we got to get him going.
Okay, we'll go back over to the right. Amy, right behind you. Right there. Question?
Brandon Sudge, making telegraph. Coach, I mean, as you've looked at the dynamic of this game, can you speak on how important the special teams is? Something that y'all stress throughout the year, but how important is it in a game like this against a team like Alabama?
Well, I always say the closer two teams are, the more special teams has a bearing. I certainly think that special teams is going to be critical in every game. Not necessarily more important in this game than any other game previous. We spend a lot of time and energy, and we put a lot of our best players on special teams units. So do they. And when you look across the board, I think those plays, you'll see elite talent matched up against elite talent. You'll see a lot of really good matchups that maybe the game within the game, a lot of people don't notice, but we think that our special teams are ready to go. We work really hard on them. So I'm excited to give the guys an opportunity to go out and play. They've got a really great challenge. Their punt returner is incredible. Their kickoff returner is incredible. They have really good returners, and they have good people blocking for them. So.
Okay, other questions, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone. We'll go over here on the right on the aisle.
Greg Collier, Action Sports and News. Coach, you talked earlier about your success that you had there in Alabama. But now that you are here and building your own program, do you, and people always try to connect you back to that success or that tree, do you find it motivating as you establish your own program for success, or is that kind of like the curse of that success?
I'm not sure I exactly understand the question, to be honest with you. I mean,
the question is, it's like your success here, it's going to be kind of like the shadow of the success that was there. And now that you're establishing your own success, do you find that to motivate you to get from underneath that shadow?
Well, I think the success we've been able to have at the University of Georgia is attributed to the players that have been here. And a lot of those guys from last year's team are gone, and a lot of the seniors this year will be gone. But that success goes to them and the staff and the people that put in so much time and effort and work into it. I don't look at it as it's really about me or anything like that. I look at it as it's a total program, and that's what we really define ourselves by at the University of Georgia. We play to a standard. We have a lot of expectations. We don't run from those expectations. We embrace them, and we do the best job we can day in and day out to put a great team out on the field and mold young players into men. That's our hope and our goal.
Hey, Coach, we'll go back over here on the left.
Cody Chafin from Fox 5. You guys have played in this building a lot now, it feels like. What do you hope to get accomplished today in the walkthrough?
Really, the walkthrough is more about brushing up, cleaning up things for us. It's about exposure to the venue, which you mentioned. We've had 2 games in here, so our kids will be comfortable as far as playing in here, and the atmosphere that is created, I think, is one of the most incredible atmospheres in all of college football. When you talk about the SEC championship, it's one of the most watched games in all of college football. So we're certainly excited about that, and the walkthrough is really just a formality for us to make sure we understand what we're doing, final touches, brush up, clean things up from yesterday.
Coach, we'll go about 3/4 of the way back. Ross?
Ross Dellinger, SI. Kirby, we talk a lot about what Alabama did last year in the championship game at halftime, making the switch to Tua. We don't talk a lot about what y'all were doing at halftime of that game. Can you take us through that locker room? Did y'all expect them to make the switch? Were y'all kind of prepared at all for that?
Well, we certainly knew that we would see some different looks, and there was a lot of talk leading up to the game that Tua would play if they ever struggled. I mean, the noise coming out of Tuscaloosa was that, but there's not a lot you prepare for differently. It's not like you say, well, they might put this other guy in and he might throw the ball more. I mean, you prepare that way every game because Jalen threw the ball. So it really didn't have much to do with what we were doing at halftime as much as they were much more effective defensively, and they got some momentum offensively, and none of which I think will have any bearing on this game.
Coach, we'll go back over here on our left on the aisle.
Marvin James, WMAZ, out of Macon. Coach, you guys have a lot of experience in this place. SEC championship last year, Swift had a big coming out a little bit, and then a national championship. Mecole and Riley had big games. Are you excited about how your players take advantage of the big stage and it's not always the same player?
Well, yeah, I'm excited the opportunity that we get to find out who it is. I mean, we've had that kind of all the way throughout the year. I mean, we've had different defensive players have really good games. Different guys have led the team in tackles in different games. And then offensively, like you mentioned, you know, you might be J.J. Holliman one game, Riley one game, Mecole, Terry, I mean, Swift, Holyfield. A lot of different guys have made plays, and a lot of that is circumstantial. It's not by intent. It's not by design. It's you take what the defense gives you. And I think that's what makes you a really good offensive football team is your ability to hurt people in different ways. And I certainly know from watching Alabama's film, that's what they have the capability of doing.
Okay, we'll go back up here in the second row, right in front.
Mark Weiser, Athens Banner Herald. Kirby, you mentioned Ben Cleveland being a game-time decision. How comfortable have you all got with the play of Trey Hill down the stretch? How do you evaluate him?
Trey's done a tremendous job. I mean, here's a guy that got plugged and had to play against Kentucky. Did a fabulous job in that game to come in and execute at a high level. He's played well. He's gotten some confidence playing at guard, and will continue to do that. And if Ben's healthy enough and able to play and he's the best available option, then he'll play.
Okay, other questions? We have one back on our left towards the back of the room.
Brandon Adams from Dog Nation. Obviously, it's a team game, but quarterback is the most high-profile position. Last year, Jake Fromm played against Baker Mayfield, very well-known quarterback, and his team earned the win. This year, it's another very well-known, likely Heisman Trophy-winning quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa. Do you think Jake takes extra motivation in being the quarterback in the game that gets the least attention, maybe feeling a little extra pressure to make sure his offense can keep pace?
I don't know if he does that or not. I never asked Jake that. I never bring that up about the opposing quarterback because ultimately he's not facing him. He's facing their defense. But I know he's a very prideful kid. I know he's extremely competitive. I mean, every day at practice, he wants to compete. He wants to win. He's very driven. So I know that probably motivates him some, but it's not something we talk about.
Coach, we'll go on our right side along the wall.
Carl Prather, WFF-TV in Huntsville. Kirby, I don't know if this has been asked already, but the status of Monty Rice and his availability for tomorrow.
Yeah, Monty was able to do a little more as the week went on. He was able to do some stuff yesterday, but he'll be a game-time decision.
Other questions, raise your hand. We'll have Amy or Emma. We've got another one here in the middle of the second row, over to our right.
Kirby, you mentioned what Tua does athletically and with the ball in his hand, but What are some of the things in play that he does that separate him from other quarterbacks, whether you mentioned, looking off defenders and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think he has a sense of the field and spacing. He's spatially aware of where people are. So he can sit in the pocket amongst trees and giants and people rushing at him that he has no fear. People are barreling down on him. He sidesteps them, keeps his eyes downfield. He understands leverages, and he knows where he's going with the ball. First of all, he's well coached, but he's really, really talented. So when you have that combination of talent and coaching and spatial awareness where he understands, does that guy have leverage on that guy? He can see that at all times amongst chaos. And he keeps his eyes downfield and does a really good job. You don't find many guys that sack him the first guy. He makes a lot of people miss, and he doesn't do it just to scramble. He does it to scramble and throw.
Okay, we'll go all the way to the back on the right side.
Kirby, you mentioned earlier that you knew for longer than usual that you would be here. Your team obviously had expected and wanted to be here. Do you expect to see any difference when your players see this place for the first time since last year's championship game? Maybe a little more excitement, a little more impatience to get tomorrow? Any impact that this might have being in this building again?
No, I don't. I certainly don't think so. I don't think the venue is of significance. I mean, that's for you guys that are superstitious. Our guys are looking at the field and saying, hey, we get a chance to go out and play and got an opportunity to play in a great venue and close to home. So most of them's home, but I think that's a little overdone.
Okay, other questions, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. All right, we have another one back up here, Amy, on the front row.
If the team has a great week of practice, is that always a good sign that you're going to play well in the game? Or conversely, sometimes have a poor week of practice, they'll have a good game. Is that kind of hard for coaches to quantify what they're going to do?
Yeah, it's extremely hard to quantify because I think every coach would tell you he had a good week of practice leading up to the game. I've never heard one say, man, we practiced like dogs this week and just didn't do much. So I've never been around anybody that was willing to say that. And I think that each week of practice, you may, with inside, know how you practice deep down inside, but whether that has an effect or not, I don't think so because I've seen it go both ways.
Okay. We'll go back over here alongside the wall.
Another question to follow up on special teams. As you talk about Alabama's punt returns and kick returns as being incredible, how can that kind of how can the guys on your end also serve as an asset with the rotation you do at punt return with Harry and?
Well, we have good returners. I mean, I'm openly to say Miko's very talented. We do a good job holding up for him, and he's a talented kickoff returner as well. So that's a big part of the game. But their coverage unit on punt and their coverage unit on kickoff is really incredible, and it affected us last year in the game. We had a couple possessions that started backed up from a kickoff perspective. So both teams put a lot of demands on the special teams, which is why it'll be a critical part of the game.
Okay, we'll go back over here on the right side along the far wall.
Greg Collier, Action Sports and News. Coach, sometimes during the game, the players press it and they force plays and make mistakes. As a coach, when you're getting prepared for the game like this, how do you not overthink it or over-prepare for it?
Well, I think you put people in the situation they're going to be in as much as possible. So we put a lot of demands on our preseason practice, on our practices leading up to the first game, all the way through the season. So we don't look at it as the moment is bigger than you. We look at it as we've been in a lot of big moments. We've had a lot of pressure moments. We want to go out and play, and I think the best coaching job you do is when you have your team prepared to play and not anxious and not too much anxiety. So you want to be confident, you want them to be serious, and you want to be focused.
Okay, last call for questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. We've got another one up. Emma, if we can get the one right here up in the front.
Colin Hughley, the Red and Black. Kirby, all year long you've used the term work in progress is how you've described the team. Just for that vision of where you want to get with how the team plays, have you seen that come into view this last week or two? Do you expect to see that tomorrow?
Have we gotten better? Yeah. Are we where we need to be? No, we're not where we need to be. We've got a lot to improve on, and I don't think that improvement is ever over. I mean, as a coach, when do you ever think you've arrived? I mean, we certainly have not arrived. We've got a lot of areas to improve on, But the work in progress statement, we have been that, and we have shown improvement in areas. We'll go against a team that's really talented, and we're going to find out a lot more about ourselves when you do that. But I'm proud of the way our guys have competed. I'm proud of the way our guys have improved. We have to continue to do that.